SIRT Pharmacy to welcome Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. DRx.Bhaskar sir with the sapling. I request Dr. Durga Pandey, Associate Professor SIRT Pharmacy to welcome Dr. Jain sir with the sapling. May I now request Dr. DRx.Bhaskar sir to address the gathering and bless with his principal words. Sir.
Thank you, Durga. Thank you, madam. Sorry, madam. Very good morning.
Very good morning.
So, how many of you are from third year? Please raise your hand.
Novel, innovative products, good problem-solving skills, as well as the ability to work under pressure, along with managing several projects at once. Sir is currently managing a formulation development team to carry out the R&D activities for the development of human health probiotic products for oral, dental, gut and skin. Sir is a pharmacist by profession and has done Masters in Pharmaceutical Sciences from the University of Greenwich, United Kingdom, and PhD in Pharmaceutical Sciences from New Zealand. Sir has worked with Bayer's New Zealand on R&D research fellowship as a team leader and for the development of injectables for animal health. Sir is having an overall experience of 12 plus years in research translation, including many patents, and has managed numerous product development projects for reformulation, clinical trials, CRO technical transfers, product launches, etc. With this diverse experience, we are very much sure that Sir will be able to help us lead our research and critical thinking. Thank you so much, Sir, for being here. I request Sir to start his deliberation.
एक बार मैं सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, feel free to ask question with sir, not related to presentation. आपके दिमाग में बाहर के जाने के लिए कोई ऑप्शन की तलाश हो या कुछ और चीजें बाहर की सीरीज के बारे में पूछना चाहते हो, क्योंकि सर बहुत सारी कंट्रीज में रहे हैं, सो प्लीज आप जरूर पूछिए. आप नेक्स्ट बोल देना.
Really good. Job, thank you, Remo. And I know Sarika very well. Sarika, Neeraj, we were the same batchmates at that time, and all of us have then separated part our ways. Thank you, Jitendra sir, for having me here. I wasn't sure कि क्या बात करी जाए. I represent a company which is called Bliss Technologies Limited. We make probiotics. Probiotics के बारे में जानते हैं आप लोग? Basically जो मेरा भी information था, probiotics are like अपना दही, yogurt, right? Something which is good for the gut, small intestine, large intestine, जिसमें bacteria होते हैं, which are good bacteria, which helps us digestion. But as the science have evolved, they have also been involved in various benefits which are beneficial to our health. So, आज की डेट में as the people's income is increasing and all that, now they are looking more of a preventative directions rather than treating. They can be used for treatment, but for now I'll cover that. थोड़ा सा slides I'll cover some of the company itself, where we are based. Some of the probiotic strains that we have. I think pharmacy may we still cover some of the microbiology side of things. I'm not a microbiologist, so don't ask me those tough questions. I am a formulation scientist, so I know how to make them alive in dosage forms. जो आप लोग pharmaceutics में पढ़ते हो, ultimately the end goal is to have something packaged in a shape or form जो the body को जाए and then health benefits there. There's certain challenges around that, and then I can cover whatever questions you have career-wise, progression wise. Does that not make sense? And just stop me anytime you want for asking me a question. Just raise your hand. I'm okay. I'm not egoist or anything. I wouldn't mind. Chalega? Shall we start?
Yes.
I think New Zealand को before going to New Zealand, only way I know that country exists is क्योंकि वहाँ पे cricket team है, right? And it's a good cricket team जो हमेशा इंडिया को कड़ी टक्कर देती है. Even hockey में they have beat India and thrown out of World Cup as well, right? It's a very small country. Not quite that. नहीं चलेगा. So it's here. कि अगर अपन ग्लोब देखेंगे अपना, ये ऑस्ट्रेलिया है, उसके ऊपर इंडिया, और उसके कंपैरिजन में it's a very tiny country और हमारा population is only 50 lakhs पूरे कंट्री का, और उसमें से 20 लाख सिर्फ एक जगह रहते हैं, वो है ऑकलैंड. ठीक है? Even in that country, I am here, which is a place called Dunedin. So there are two islands, North Island and South Island. South Island में दो बड़े शहर हैं, एक क्राइस्टचर्च जिसका भी क्रिकेट मैच हुआ था, इंडिया न्यूजीलैंड. आई वाज देयर, अच्छा हुआ, इंडिया बुरा खेली नहीं. And Dunedin is the second one. Now Dunedin has got a University of Otago, which is top 50 universities in the world. The programs are exclusively very good. Pharmacy के नाम पे भी, so I have recently taken up a position there as an honorary senior research fellow, just ताकि इंडस्ट्री और यूनिवर्सिटी का कोलैबोरेशन चल पाए. इस समय सर से बात भी कर रहा था सुबह के, what are we building, आप लोगों को क्या एजुकेशन जा रही है जो यूजफुल रहे for you to become something to serve to the industry, right? Only it's not only a job to earn money, right? We also want to give back what we have learned in this education system. So once we are in Dunedin, I thought Madam ने एक अच्छा description दिया already, but let me put you again so that you guys can correlate very well. क्योंकि you might have speakers coming from different walks of life. पर ये कह रहे हैं मैं तो इस कॉलेज में हूँ, मैं वहाँ कैसे रहूँगा? It's everybody is same, right? We just have to take our chances as they come. So again, as I said, B.Pharm finished in 2001. I think हमारा batch शायद second batch था. First batch you might call it Prashant Jain sir. So Prashant Jain sir was our senior. तो उसके बाद हमारा बैच था. आफ्टर दैट आई वेंट टू यूके, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ ग्रीनिच. आप लोगों ने सुना होगा एवरीथिंग इज रिलेटेड टू जीएमटी प्लस जीएमटी माइनस. सो दैट्स द ग्रीनिच मीन टाइम, जहाँ पे आई डोंट नो व्हाट रेट है, मध्य कर समथिंग, सो द टाइमलाइन इज देयर. एंड फ्रॉम देयर आई आल्सो डिड पीएचडी in pharmaceutical sciences. That was a project from Bayer Animal Health. Bayer का अपन लोग relate करते हैं शायद बेगॉन करके insect repellent आता था. That's how I know Bayer. But Bayer is a big company. Anti-malarial drug. I think aspirin भी Bayer का ही Catafloxacin. So Bayer was interested in veterinary health. Mastitis treatment. So in dairy cows, New Zealand का बड़ा country, like there's I think 10 times more cows than people, क्योंकि पूरा dairy industry based है. So I was working with them on their PhD project, antibiotic treatment. Project went really well. Finally ended up having a product out which is still selling in New Zealand market. So that was a good relationship, and just because of that they continue to have me there as a postdoctoral fellow. I think I did 3 postdocs with them, and then because they're just not hiring me as a team member, but uske baad I also did a research fellowship with them. So I was with Bayer for almost 10 years during all that. And then in 2017 I decided to switch from the animal health to human health. And in human health we have this company called Bliss Technologies Limited. I'll just cover in a sec. So then I started working with them again as a senior research scientist, and then currently I'm heading the development for the company. And I'll cover what company does and what operations we have. or I mean recently before coming here, I just joined another position there as an honorary. So it's a non-paid position, but just to be linked with the university as well. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Makes English Hindi makes clear?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So this is the university we have. This is a clock tower, so I've tried in possession of that. It's a very old university, and the company itself came out of as a spin-off from the university's research. So we have a professor there who has spent all his life working with probiotics. He was suffering from something called sore throat, जो अपना गले के infections होते हैं, हम दूसरे दिन अपन बोलते हैं इसको viral हो गया, right? Basically, there is a bacteria that lives in the mouth, which is a good bacteria, and the bad one, which is called a strep pyogenes. I think it's too much micro, but that's the bacteria which lives in all our mouths and is pathogenic, and that's the one responsible for causing the sore throat. जिसके लिए अपन straight away amoxicillin या azithromycin या कुछ देते हैं. But it's basically this bacteria can be killed by another good bacteria, which is only 2% of the population, and that's a probiotic. I'll cover that in a second. So the company was founded in 2000. We are headquartered in Dunedin itself, spread over 3 sites. So we have a factory where we manufacture, we have a corporate office, and then I am at the R&D site. And what we make is live probiotics. So probiotic live means these are bacteria which are alive, and then they live in the lozenges, tablets, capsules, and these forms. That means once they hit the water, they start multiplying and started producing things which are called bliss, which I cover in a second as well. The probiotic strains we have, they cover the respiratory health. So COVID जैसे हुआ, so COVID में our probiotics were working very effectively in preventing COVID. Something similar to that. There's new research which is coming out. We have never promoted it for that, but we know for respiratory illnesses they're very useful. Also, there's things called bad breath, which is chewing gum, but it's actually caused by a bacteria which is in the mouth, which is bad, and if you can replace it with a good one, that can help you with that. And then recently they have also come up in a skin care one, which I'll cover as well. It's a very strong foundation. There are 55 patent families, 5 of which also I hold, luckily. These ones, the anti-respiratory virus, skin composition, prebiotics, the patent that I am currently holding as an application with, just as a part of the development. For those who are not familiar with probiotics, अपन है, दही अपन को पता है. Probiotics are actually defined by WHO. The World Health Organization recognized them, and they call as live microorganisms, which, when administered adequate amounts, confer a health benefit on the host. इसमें आपको बहुत सारी चीजें वो मिलेंगी जो आपके फार्मेसी में अपन दवाई बना रहे हैं. Medicine is also the same, right? Something which is, when given in a right dose or amount, gives you a health benefit. So if you take 500 milligrams of paracetamol, that will relieve your headache. If you take 250 milligrams of aspirin or something like that, that will have a different function of it. Something similar, probiotics also define. So this is a live microorganism which gives. They're popular because we have been like, for us, we are quite familiar with that पेट खराब है probiotic है. आज की डेट में अगर आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, I've seen prescriptions here as well. If they write antibiotic, they also write something like डिफाका ही है तो उसको आप ले लो बोलते हैं, right? So it's a very common thing. What we are, it also restores the microbial balance. So the way we understand is good bacteria गए, bad bacteria, good bacteria and bad bacteria को खत्म कर दिया, and all that story. If you know the human microbiome, so a microbiome is what bacteria we have all over our body. It's full of them, and there are bacteria, viruses, and all that. So the whole body is covered with that. And from there, what we identify is the different actions by which these help us. So just like when you are reading pharmacokinetics, or when you're reading how a medicine have its impact on relieving something, right? That's how antibiotics work, right? Something very similar. It's like non-antibacterial antibiotics. They have got different mechanisms that they work with. They colonize, so you for good bacteria in the mouth, they replace or wipe out the bad bacteria population. Bind and block, so just crowding out. Why they are different from antibiotics, and this is where the future is going. So we are using so much of antibiotics these days that people say antibiotic resistance हो रहा है, right? Especially for us. He said gatifloxacin, right? Gatifloxacin, people have not even heard of that drug in foreign countries, just because they're still working with macrolides. अभी भी हम उस पे चल रहे हैं, proxythromycin, doxycycline. हम लोग चेंज हो गए बिकॉज डॉक्टर के पास आप गए, अगर सुबह से शाम तक गला ठीक हुआ तो आप मेडिसिन नहीं चेंज करते हो, डॉक्टर बदल देते हैं. Right? So he straight away give you the highest which is available, very broad spectrum, and that causes the resistance. These are very specific ones. They only specifically inhibit or kill one particular pathogen, which is actually killing. So it's the पेट खराब नहीं होता if you think that way. And there's several different modes of activity for that. As a company, what we have got patent of 2 strains, which is called this K12 and this M18. They are different strains of bacteria. So I don't know how much microbiology you have studied so far, but when you study antibiotics, you study which microorganisms these antibiotics are inhibiting, right? So let's take it that way. So a genus Streptococcus, species Salivarius, and K12 and M18 are just specific strains. Bacteria you might know, if you look under a scanning electron microscope, they look like these. So small pods connected through a chain. These ones that we have are specific to the oral cavity, and then they have got some good immune functions in there. This would be a bit too much, but this is just showing the clinical efficacy of the things. I don't know how much you've been exposed to, but when you start working on medicines, you have to prove that they work, right? So if somebody says take, like COVID, for example, COVID vaccines, right? You have to prove that they work. You have to show a lot of efficacy studies, but before that, we have to show a lot of safety studies. People say Pfizer वाली सही है कि नहीं है, कि AstraZeneca की अच्छी है कि नहीं, अच्छी थी तो फिर भी COVID क्यों हो रहा है, and all of that, right? All that information you have to generate. It takes about 10 to 15 years just to go through the full R&D from starting till end, right? So we have to generate a lot of this data, which is, say for example, this one in children, and we have to show how efficacious this is, how safe this is, and what we have shown is that our products are. It covers from very young age, from infants who suffer from ear infections and all that, all the way to little babies and old age as well. So it's a very broad spectrum of activities for those probiotics. Just put this slide. So these are the current range we have. So we have got lozenges for different health targets. Some for your immune defense. आज की डेट में with COVID in there, and we know it is again impending. एक बार हो जाएगा फिर तो treatment के लिए है. But what will you do before it happens? How will you protect it? We use mask, but what else can we do? Vaccines is another one which you are preventative, right? So this is something that we are also having a full range of that. So just we are full all over the globe. Canada, Asia, even in India. Last year we got approval to have our products to be sold in India as well. They're extremely expensive, about 3,000 rupees for 10 tablets or something. But this is for prevention. This is for people who are higher income group. who can afford. And once we have to start manufacturing here locally, we will have it much cheaper to have the benefits. This is something which is very new. This is which you may not have heard. This is probiotics for topical use. So those who know probiotics, they have only known it to take to the oral. This is again, I have filed a patent for this one. This is a skin formulation that you have to apply for the skin. This particular one is called Micrococcus luteus. It's a golden color bacteria. It grows on the skin. It's just when we start to have dryness, acne, teenagers must be there, pimples and all that. So this is the one that helps preventing those. Psoriasis, body odor. There's so much things. The challenge with having something like this is how do you formulate it. That's where the formulation thing comes into picture. So you say that here's a drug, for example. How will you deliver it? If a drug is highly sensitive to water, for example, cream lagate na apply it to the skin. Cream, you put it in the cream, it dies within 15 minutes. How will you do it? So as a pharmacist, you have to come up with your specific skill in formulation. You have to use your skills and experience to come up with a formulation which will keep it alive so that it will have the health benefits and all. I know it's a bit too much for this audience, but ultimately what I just wanted to give you a flavor of you just don't think yourself that what you're reading in the books is going to help you. You will come up with challenges which you have to take on board and come up with preparations and formulations. Because B.Pharm के बाद the next step would be you would like to go and do a PG, for example. किस पे करोगे? Right? Pharmaceutics पे करोगे, जिसमें you will formulate something. Pharmacokinetics में जहाँ पे you will be doing like pharmacology, for example. एक बार ड्रग है तो क्या हुआ? Pharmacognosy, perhaps to come up with the herbal preparations and all that, right? So you have to be very clear thinking in your mind where exactly you want to go and how will you tackle those and contribute. This product is currently selling in the New Zealand market. It's quite a high performing one on Amazon platform that will be launching in the US. I think that is it. For giving you a flavor of, so this is just an example of probiotics itself, but it's the same principle, same basic science. All that what we have learned through our group studies and all that during the B.Pharm time is what is essentially being useful now. So the base has to be very strong, and then you can have much more that you can achieve.
Any great question, sir. Psoriasis we are trying a lot. How much success you have got in psoriasis?
Psoriasis का issue is it's a multi-factor disease. Psoriasis जब patches होते हैं skin पे, right? Multi-factor में the body's immune system goes on overdrive, right? That's the first cause. The second cause is once it goes on overdrive, आपको secondary bacterial infection होता है. In our case, we have got the strain which is for oral administration, gives good response systemically. So systemic means through gut, through the blood stream. So वो उसको down करने के लिए, and once that is tackled, then your topical one will help you for tackling out the secondary infections.
So at the same time you are applying both.
Yeah, but you still have to come with your corticosteroids and all that. Because it's a multi-factor. Your dermatologist will have quite a few options to work with and then find out which one is the most. Because psoriasis then becomes arthritis as well. Psoriatic arthritis. There's quite a few things that happens. But for us, we have not promoted it for psoriasis treatment just yet. We know the bacteria which is involved in causing that, we can treat it. It goes that way.
So, is this particular treatment is curing the patients? How much success you have in this?
There are clinical trials on that. Prophylactic may be ultimately for us, we have to run trials, we have to publish that information, and then only we can claim anything as a company.
As a complement or as a synergistic effect, we can.
It will be complementary. It won't replace. It will be complementary.
Because still, when we talk about psoriasis, still we are saying that the causative reason is still not very sure. Okay, immune system is one of the reasons, but still it is not sure. So we are not getting the correct treatment for psoriasis.
They will go with the topical and oral combination, and this one will be an adjunct to it. So once your system is in place, then you don't have to go for high, because steroids and all that are not good for that.
And sir, second question is, you are living in New Zealand for the last few years, but you belongs to India. So how much you think, because you are working on these bacteria and all things, so how you see the perspective of AMR, antimicrobial resistance in India in comparative to US? Because superbugs is going to be a biggest threat after this corona pandemic.
Yeah.
So once I reading the one article that the next pandemic it will be this antimicrobial resistance or antibiotic resistance.
It's already there.
It's already there. So how you see the perspective of India?
India is too difficult, I think. But because there's a lot more money in antibiotics, especially population like India. And जब अपन बात करते हैं that we are growing, we need treatment yesterday, बीमार होने के पहले ही हल्का सा सर, गला हल्का सा यहाँ टच भी हुआ, so we go for antibiotic. Right? That's what is causing it. For us there, doctor will wait at least for a week before he writes any antibiotic, because most of the things are viral, and you will never get an antiviral.
Yes.
Right? आप जाते हो डॉक्टर के पास, मेरा गला दुख रहा है, वो आपको एंटीबायोटिक देता है, एंटीवायरल नहीं देता है. Right? बोलेगा वायरल है. Right? So if you argue that question to him, maybe he will struggle to answer that. So why are you giving me an antibacterial when you're saying it's a viral infection, right? The thing why we think is that there will be a secondary infection because our immunity level is already low. Virus ने अपन को कर ही दिया है. To answer your question, antibiotic resistance is already a pandemic, endemic. It's already there, especially us अपने लिए. Foreign countries में बहुत कम है. और कम के पीछे रीजन यही है कि वो आपको प्रिस्क्राइब करते ही नहीं है. Whatever they are prescribing is very low. That's why India is the biggest market. Now, if you look back 1948 जब पेनिसिलिन आया था, उसके बाद से अभी तक भी there's only handful of antibiotics which are there. We may have generations. We don't have new antibiotics coming up that often, right? क्योंकि एक limit है. उसके बाद you are just playing with the thing too much. Gram positive, gram negative, सारे coverage में we will face bigger problems than COVID. And that's why things like probiotics will then take over that market pretty soon. क्योंकि वहाँ पे you are very specific. You have a sniper kill rather than a bomb effect, right? सबको इस सारी bacteria को आप नहीं मार रहे हो उस antibiotic. You are having a sniper kill that will have much more beneficial. Something like this you can take. Say, my daughter, she was a chronic tonsillitis. No, है ना? हर 2 महीने में tonsillitis हो रहा है. Tonsils हो गए, गला दुख रहा है, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है. इंडिया में I'm sure she would have gone that tonsils removed. क्योंकि वो सबसे easy way out है, right? बहुत easy way. There we find this. We put her on these probiotics. पिछले शायद 4-5 सालों से every night she take one tablet. It's just an oral dissolving one. She had touchwood no throat infections. Absolutely at bay because the root cause था वो बहुत simple सा है. कोई antibiotic नहीं चाहिए, कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए. The moment we landed here, they both got something else. पर जो हमको मालूम है जो चीज जिसके कारण ये हो रहा था. This is what doctors fail here. These are expensive drugs. Like they're not drugs, they're prevention. हमारे यहाँ कोई भी चीज शायद विटामिन्स के अलावा कोई भी चीज ऐसी नहीं है जो प्रिवेंशन के लिए. Right? We only treat. We don't take things for prevention. Very rarely. शायद कभी फेस वॉश वगैरह यूज कर लिया कि पिंपल्स नहीं होंगे. But other than that, एक बार हो गया तो फिर कैलेमाइन लोशन लगाया, फिर ये किया, वो किया, सारी चीजें. So that's where like probiotics and all that, they have got a good antibiotic resistance is one of the key drivers for this. But what you will find is that newer diseases जो सारी पेट से आती है, अपने मतलब पेट से है सारा, पेट खराब हो गया है, कुछ भी होता है तो जो पुराने लोग थे, जो साइंस थी, that's still there, right? About 70% of our immune system sits in the gut. 70%. Which is huge. और आज की डेट में किसी भी आदमी से आप पूछ लो इम्यूनिटी क्या होती है, वो बता देगा हाँ यार मेरी कम थी कोरोना में, मेरी ज्यादा थी. So कोरोना has been quite a blessing in disguise, to be honest. कि लोगों में इतनी एजुकेशन इतनी आ गई है कि एक बार होगा तो वाट लगेगी. Let's tackle it. इसलिए आज की डेट में अपन मास्क लगा रहे हैं कि इंडिया अपन भूल जाते हैं. But still, in rest of the world, people have got multivitamins होने चाहिए, B12 होना चाहिए, vitamin D होना चाहिए, ये सारी चीजें. The day we landed here, we had some issues. डॉक्टर ने हमको वो डिक्यूरा विटामिन D का सस्पेंशन दे दिया कि आप ये ले लो, आपकी इम्यूनिटी बहुत कम होगी, इंडिया को आप नहीं झेल पाओगे. He was not wrong. हम लोग चारों बीमार पड़ गए, but still there's a I was impressed कि वो डॉक्टर सोच रहा है उस डायरेक्शन में कि ये चीजें हैं और शायद हम लोग सब भी उसमें आ गए हैं. Any other question आप लोग?
Sir, one question.
हाँ.
Sir, we are giving probiotics in the form of cream for skin.
हाँ.
Can we go for the normal prescription for probiotics?
For example.
Like Himal gel or some micron or liposome.
Yeah.
So, can we prepare, sir, novel? This is a topic for research.
Absolutely. So the topic of research is to keeping. So again, there's two kinds of skin mainly. अभी आप अगर L'Oreal और ये सब देखोगे, these companies are coming up, but they have lysates. Lysates is the dead bacteria or the dead killed one, right? The only reason is that it's too difficult to have them formulate alive. Bacteria is like पानी दिया और थोड़ी सी हीट दी तो मल्टीप्लाई होगा और मर जाएगा. Right? So to keep it in a vial, in a cream, you would have Himal. So Himal again has got a water component to it. You don't like it. They don't like 37 degrees क्योंकि 37 degrees पर ही वो grow करते हैं. अपनी body रहती है ना 37 degrees पे. The whole body is covered with the microbes. They all live at that temperature. And the issue is the temperature they live at, they die. इसलिए हम दही को फ्रिज में रखते हैं, for example. So that खट्टा नहीं होगा, खराब नहीं होगा. दूध को आप अगर बाहर छोड़ दोगे तो वो फट जाता है. Because lactic acid bacteria, right? पर वही फ्रिज में रख दोगे तो भी आप 1 से 2 दिन ही रहता है. Right? It doesn't last forever. And the reason is that only क्योंकि वो उसके लिए, so as a formulation scientist, you have to then come up. आप micron size कर लोगे, bacteria itself is a micron size. 5 माइक्रोन होता है, उससे नीचे कैसे जाओगे? You can make a nanoparticle, for example, but nanoparticle is in nano size. The bacteria is bigger than that, so you might have to come up with something to keep it further. जैसे वो जो chains मैंने दिखाई थी, for example, आपको ये, right? So these they grow as a colony, right? Plate पे on an agar पे जब आप grow करते हो तो वो ऐसा दिखता है. This one colony, see this, एक डॉट, ये एक डॉट उतने सारे डॉट्स का कॉम्बिनेशन है. So it's already quite big, and then you have to formulate it in a system. That's why we filed a patent and we are progressing very well. The formulation we have come up with, we have completely excluded water from it. है ही नहीं. But we are still facing the issue of heat. I don't think we have a technology जहाँ पे आप सिस्टम को ठंडा कर सकते हो in a formulation, in a preparation. वो शायद आप लोगों के लिए अभी नया लगेगा because we are as a pharmacy, B.Pharm course अपन इतना सारा पढ़ते हैं काफी चीजें, but once you start focusing your direction, then you start realizing कि यार जो अपन बहुत easily ले रहे थे, right? ODs once daily, to have something from twice daily to once daily is extremely difficult. Once you have the technology is there, then you can come up with a platform. And the research करते हैं, industrial research is completely different because here आपको चीज सिर्फ research नहीं करना है, उसको actually बेचना भी, और वो तभी बिकेगा जब वो काम करेगा. और उसके काम करने के लिए you have to run so many clinical trials, safety, anything safe है कि नहीं. आपने जब अपना I'm just talking about COVID because it's so topical in अपने सबको मालूम है. मतलब फाइजर ने, एस्ट्राजेनेका ने 1 साल में कैसे बना दी वैक्सीन, राइट? कुछ गड़बड़ होगा, ये होगा, वो होगा. These companies they develop platforms all the time. Platform मतलब जैसे अपन रेस्टोरेंट में जाते हैं, आपने कहा मुझे बटर पनीर मसाला खाना है, किसी ने बोला मुझे कढ़ाई पनीर खाना है, और किसी ने बोला मेरे को एक और पनीर कुछ something, right? Gravy remains the same. That's your platform. Now you add few things here and there to serve a different indication. सर को ये चाहिए था, ग्रेवी जहाँ से आई थी वो शुरुआत से basis है. These companies have got to develop these bases, and then if it is against SARS virus, here's what we have to do. And what they spent 1 year, 1 or 2 years to उनको develop करने में लगा was only to establish safety. क्योंकि वो चीज टेस्ट नहीं हुई है. आप क्लिनिकल ट्रायल ऐसे रन नहीं कर सकते हो किसी भी चीज के लिए कि ये मैंने बना लिया है, ये खा के देख लो कैसा है. It doesn't work that way in our pharmaceuticals. जो आप लोग पढ़ रहे हो फार्मेसी, वहाँ पे ये है कि अगर उसमें लिखा है कोई चीज, then you have to prove it and you have to apply that, and then you have to continuously generate that information. इसका safety कब तक establish हो. It's good fun. Like I don't know what your future plans are. और कोई क्वेश्चन बच्चे?
जो हम प्रीबायोटिक्स बना रहे हैं तो सर ये कोई मतलब इन्वायरमेंट पर भी डिपेंड करता है, जैसे बाहर अलग इन्वायरमेंट होता है, इंडिया का अलग इन्वायरमेंट है.
It's a very good question.
तो सर
Excellent question. So जब हम लोगों ने
थैंक यू.
when we filed for India for regulatory approval, तो इन्होंने बहुत कर्ली क्वेश्चन पूछा, exactly ये वाला, कि जो यूरोपियंस होते हैं उसमें तो ये बैक्टीरिया आपने क्लिनिकल एफिकेसी शो कर दी कि दिस इज गुड फॉर देयर हेल्थ. इज इट गुड फॉर आवर हेल्थ? क्योंकि हमारा जो डाइट है इंडियंस का वो डिफरेंट है, राइट? इट हैज गॉट लॉट्स ऑफ स्पाइसेस, लॉट्स ऑफ अदर थिंग्स. विल इट वर्क? क्योंकि जो use as a microbiome, which is your overall microbial composition of us, which is 10-fold more cells than human cells. अगर उस हिसाब से देखा जाए तो we had to then find out literature कि क्या है, लोगों ने स्टडी किया हुआ है ये, and then ultimately they find out that there is a very marginal difference. वो difference जो है वो जो species, जो genus है वो same रहता है, strains may differ here, but the same tablet will work for me and the same will work for you, which is different from probiotics. It's a very good question. Medicine के case में ऐसा नहीं होता. Medicine just takes a human body, blood, organs, everything is the same. For us, it's slightly different in that regard. But it's very much similar. It can take a little bit longer क्योंकि जो अपने ऑलरेडी microbiome में that might be already resistant to some of the things may take a little bit. In some countries when we run trial, we give them mouthwash, right? या फिर एंटीबायोटिक ट्रीटमेंट, एक हफ्ते का एंटीबायोटिक ट्रीटमेंट दिया, उससे जो एग्जिस्टिंग पॉपुलेशन है वो उसका लेवल बहुत कम हो गया, एंड देन यू एंटर विद योर न्यूअर बैक्टीरिया, द न्यूअर पॉपुलेशन to then take over that. That's good, very good. Anyone else?
Sir, for how long can we take these probiotics? Is there a particular period of time?
It's like yogurt. It's like yogurt. So this is there's only a level that it can reach. There is a level that it can go down. So the studies we conduct say at least 3 months, and then if you want to give a break, you can, but then it has to come up again. This is only transient. This is not a permanent. Transient colonization जो है वो तो इतना ही रहता है. Like for you who are involved in research R&Ds, you can run some collaborations. This is a very good field. You can have a lot of publications. अगर आप लोगों को आपका जो skill आगे वो करना है, it's very easy to work with. It's very easy to work with. और अगर एक प्रोबायोटिक से इकोनॉम फॉर एग्जांपल, आई डोंट नो आपको भी आता है कि डॉक्टर रेड्डीज का, आप उसको लेके आओगे और एक एगार प्लेट पे राइट मीडियम में ग्रो करोगे फिर ग्रो. So you don't need to go and talk to Dr. Reddy's कि मेरे को वो चाहिए for your research. You can simply buy off a sachet और कोई और ये रहता है Lactiflora, Lactobacillus, कोई भी can grow them and then you can run your experiments. There's heaps of publications. Yeah.
सर ब्रांड और जेनरिक मेडिसिन में क्या डिफरेंट होता है? मेजर सर डिफरेंट क्या है उसमें?
ब्रांडेड और उसमें
जेनरिक में
so if you Google R&D development for a medicine, right? आपको एक बहुत, if I find a slide I can share as well. There's about 10 to 15 years of research which is involved to come up with a medicine, right? उसमें से आप जो है पहले हाई थ्रूपुट स्क्रीनिंग 50,000 मॉलिक्यूल्स देखे, उनमें से कुछ काम करे, फिर आप आगे गए, फिर आपने उसमें माइस स्टडीज से शुरू किया, फिर डॉग्स पे गए, फिर डॉग्स के बाद ह्यूमंस पर आए, फिर सेफ्टी ट्रायल किया. ऑल दैट मनी goes in about $1 billion or something. I don't know रुपीस में कितना है, पर करोड़ों रुपए, राइट? वो करोड़ रुपए जब एक कोई कंपनी लगाती है, so they want that brand exclusivity, क्योंकि वो पैसा इन्वेस्टमेंट वापस भी चाहिए ना, इतना पैसा लगाया. So when you have a branded medicine, you get a timeline. Usually they are protected by patent. पेटेंट की शेल्फ लाइफ होती है 20 साल की. 20 साल के बाद पेटेंट पब्लिक हो जाता है. So anybody can come and make it. Right? So आपका जो ब्रांडेड वाला है वो उस 20 साल के गेम में चल रहा है अभी, and that's why they only have the medicines which are their product or licensed to another company to make it. Right? जब वो 20 साल का उसका ड्यूरेशन खत्म हो जाता है and it is available for public, then वो जेनेरिक में आ जाता है. Now जेनेरिक में उसका कॉस्ट जो है वो सिग्निफिकेंटली कम होता है, क्योंकि जेनेरिक वाले को सिर्फ वो मटेरियल चाहिए, कोई स्टडीज नहीं चाहिए. आई थिंक दे हैव टू गिव अ बायोइक्विवेलेंट स्टडी, सिर्फ ये कि जो आप बना रहे हो वो एग्जैक्टली सेम है कि नहीं. तो जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है वो बहुत कम है. तो अगर आप ऑगमेंटिव लेते हो फॉर एग्जांपल, वो आपको जैसे 20 रुपए की पड़ेगी, पर सेम अमॉक्सिसिलिन किसी दूसरी कंपनी की आपको 1 रुपए मिल जाएगी, क्योंकि उसने किया था रिसर्च. अभी फाइजर वैक्सीन चल रहा है, राइट, या एस्ट्राजेनेका का वैक्सीन चल रहा है, देयर इन्वेस्टमेंट for that, but once it becomes a generic, फिर कोई भी लेफ्ट राइट एंड सेंटर कोई भी आके बना सकता है उसको, जिसका कॉस्टिंग जो है वो सिर्फ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और मार्केटिंग का कॉस्ट है। ठीक है।
क्वेश्चन सर, एफ&डी में जाना है सर इसके लिए, तो
क्या
क्या
है?
एफ&डी R&D फील्ड में सर,
हाँ,
फॉर्मुलेशन डेवलपमेंट।
तो आगे तो फिर क्या कठिनाई हो सकता है सर स्टूडेंट के लिए?
अभी जैसे बी फार्म है आपका,
यस सर।
so you can choose, मैं अपना एक्सपीरियंस बता सकता हूँ। अपन दो पाथवेज हैं, एक तो आप बी फार्म किया और आप इंडस्ट्री में चले गए, कंपनी में, प्लांट में, प्रोडक्शन में काम करने के लिए, राइट। There you go into an R&D lab, research and development lab. There you'll find a specific formulation development lab and work from there. Alternatively, you can go to a M.Pharm in specific pharmaceutics, right? जिसमें formulation involved होता है. And from there, if you're really keen in research, आप PhD भी करो. But that's a quite, so एक है experience लेते जाओ, दूसरा है और आगे आप experiments research करते जाओ, and from there you can then enter the company. It's just that if you are having M.Pharm PhDs, you are quite placed well above compared to आप सिर्फ masters करके जाते हो या सिर्फ B.Pharm करके जाते हो, then you learn that in a company. Here you will have a much broader understanding. But like मेरा formulation ही हमें को उसमें मजा आता है. It's good because it's very tangible. हम लोग we come up with 100 to 200 formulations in a week. उसमें से कुछ होते जो आगे जाएंगे, further proceed करेंगे. The biggest hurdle is stability. Stability, क्योंकि कोई भी आप मेडिसिन लॉन्च कर रहे हो, you need at least 2 years shelf life, which is a very big challenge unless you want to keep things in cold chain and all that vaccine वगैरह के लिए.
आपका प्रश्न ये है कि एफ&डी में जाने के लिए क्या पढ़ना चाहिए?
यस सर, क्या डिफिकल्ट हो गया स्टूडेंट के लिए F&D?
डिफिकल्टी क्या है एफ&डी में जाने के लिए? What is the challenges?
I think that's the easiest one. It's not difficult. If you know how to cook, you can be starting to sir आप ही बताओगे. I'm not sure about how the system
एफ&डी में
works.
जाने के लिए पहले तो आपको ये फोकस करना पड़ेगा कि आपका फार्मास्यूटिक्स जो पार्ट है वो बहुत स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए. आपका कैलकुलेशन, फार्मास्यूटिकल कैलकुलेशंस पार्ट बहुत स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए एफ&डी में जाने के लिए. अब दो रास्ते हैं आपके पास. आइदर आप बी फॉर्म में जाने के बाद प्रोडक्शन का आप एक्सपीरियंस लो, देन यू कैन स्लोली स्विच टू एफ&डी. दूसरा ऑप्शन ये है कि आप फार्मास्यूटिक्स या बायोफार्म इसमें आप आपका पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन करो एंड देन यू एंटर इनटू एफ&डी. There are two ways to go into F&D. And another way, if you really grow and you want to become R&D head or F&D head, then you have to go for some experience, including PhD. And what happens? These lines are changes so drastically. You don't know after 2 years what type of technology will be there. So there are a lot of changes also. But abhi जो आप focus as a B.Pharm student, you focus on pharmaceutics part and biopharm. And pharmaceutical calculations. ये तीन पार्ट आपके स्ट्रॉन्ग होंगे, so company definitely will prefer.
Learning habit भी develop होगा.
Basic इतना strong रहेगा. I think हम लोग because we were very new pharmacy के बैच के हिसाब से बहुत पढ़ा हम लोगों ने. और उस टाइम मेरे ख्याल से जितना पढ़ा वो सारा
आप लोग किताबें नहीं पढ़ते थे जो हम लोगों ने पढ़ा. हम लोग रेमिंगटन से डायरेक्ट पढ़ते थे. हाँ, किताबें पुस्तकें पढ़ो. देखो क्या प्रॉब्लम है आजकल नेट पे सब कुछ अवेलेबल है एंड वी डोंट वांट टू कंज्यूम आवर टाइम. लेकिन क्या होता है कि जब हम पुस्तकें पढ़ते हैं ना तो एक टॉपिक पर फोकस कर रहे होते हैं लेकिन 4 और टॉपिक पढ़ते हैं जिनसे हमको मिलता है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मुझे अच्छे से याद है हम यूटेक्टिक मिक्सचर पढ़ते थे तो हम पहले किताब से पढ़ रहे थे, फिर हम 3 अलग अलग लोगों ने 3 अलग अलग किताबों से पढ़ा और फिर डिस्कस किया उसको. तो दैट इज हाउ यू ग्रो. किताबें जरूर
जर्नल्स वगैरह आपको एक्सेसिबल है, पढ़ते हैं जर्नल्स वगैरह. सो जर्नल आर्टिकल्स गिव यू गाइस हैव जर्नल क्लब, सर ऐसा कुछ चलता है? क्योंकि वो चीजें बहुत हेल्प करती है उसमें आपको. जब इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड इन ए टॉपिक, होपफुली इसके बाद आप लोग कुछ जाके प्रोबायोटिक्स के बारे में पढ़ना चालू करोगे, right? Once you start learning a topic, then you associate कि यार इसमें ये भी क्वेश्चन हो सकता है, वो भी क्वेश्चन हो सकता है, पास सब हो जाते हैं. एक या दो कोई कोर अगर आपके सब्जेक्ट है स्ट्रॉन्ग, स्पेशली फार्माकोलॉजी और फार्मास्यूटिक्स, तो इट हेल्प्स अ लॉट, क्योंकि फिर आप रेस्ट ऑफ द क्राउड से बहुत डिफरेंट हो जाते हैं, राइट? इवन मार्केटिंग, ठीक, मैंने भी किया मार्केटिंग, आई वाज फॉर इन्वेक्सी डॉक्टर रेड्डीज, वहां पर भी जितने ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स होते थे आई वाज कमिंग अप फर्स्ट, क्योंकि और किसी ने पढ़ा ही नहीं है, वो सब मालूम ही नहीं ह्यूमन बॉडी होती क्या है. बीएससी वाले को नहीं पढ़ा रहे वो चीज, वो बी फार्म वाले को पढ़ा रहे, बिकॉज बी फार्म वाले को उतना नॉलेज होना चाहिए कि एज ए फार्मासिस्ट, राइट? अपने यहाँ फार्मासिस्ट का उतना वैल्यू नहीं है, बट वेयर लाइक दिस यूनिवर्सिटी वी आर इन, वहां पे they have a higher ranking even over doctors. सारी इंफॉर्मेशन फार्मासिस्ट देता है, चाहे वो हॉस्पिटल फार्मासिस्ट हो, चाहे शॉप, अपने से फार्मेसी शॉप नहीं होती है, इट्स अ फार्मेसी इज अ फार्मेसी, जहां पे एक फार्मासिस्ट रहता है. सेम वर्क्स विद द इंडस्ट्री, एंड दैट्स वेयर यू गेट टू नो. जैसे जो वहां मेरा डॉक्टर है, मैं उसको बताता हूँ कि सर आप ये लिख दो, ये काम करेगा, एंड देन ही आस्क्ड दैट क्वेश्चन कि आप फार्मेसी फील्ड से हो क्या, एंड व्हेन आई सेड आई एम अ फार्मासिस्ट इटसेल्फ, तो फिर वो इंटरेक्शन, वो डायलॉग एकदम डिफरेंट हो जाता है, क्योंकि फिर उसको ऐसा लगता है कि अच्छा अपन किसी समझदार से, किसी बराबरी वाले से बात कर रहे हैं, जो ये पूछ रहा है क्वेश्चन कि मैं अगर ये ले रहा हूँ तो क्यों ले रहा हूँ. He landed in मुंबई और वो डॉक्टर ने करीब 14 मेडिसिन लिखी थी प्रिस्क्रिप्शन, आगे और पीछे, शायद इसलिए कि आप बाहर से आए हो, आपको ले लोगे. But then because I had that information and all that, I ended up having two. क्योंकि आपने पढ़ा है वो चीज़ कि ये भी नहीं चाहिए मेरे को, ये भी नहीं चाहिए, ये भी नहीं चाहिए, whatever SOS नहीं चाहिए, things like that. So it's going to help you a lot. This is your prime time. Year 4, year 3, year 4 में हो आप लोग, 3rd year 4th year में. It's going to define that. चाहे आप marketing में जाना चाह रहे हो, चाहे आप, because I have done marketing, I have done teaching, and I have done core research. पूरा full on है, सब सारी चीजें देखी हुई है. तो but again.
Some more to it. First of all, thank you very much, Rohit sir. And I would like to thank Sarika Srivastava, Dr. Sukhman Singh in absence, and of course Professor Neeraj Shukmani. Because of their efforts only, we could have him here in the audience. And it was very, very great show. And actually, sir ने जो भी चीजें बताई ना, उसके अंदर आप पॉइंट समझे कि स्टूडेंट के जो क्वेश्चन समझ में आ रहे थे मुझको, वो ये थे. अभी 3 वर्ष बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चल रहे हैं, यू ऑल नो KSA, है ना? क्या परफॉर्म है KSA का एब्रिविएशंस में? नॉलेज, स्किल एंड एटीट्यूड, करेक्ट? नॉलेज आप लोग लेने जाते नहीं है, जो लाइब्रेरी में मिलेगा, जो जर्नल्स की सब बात करें, जर्नल सेक्शन एंड ऑल दोस, फॉर दैट यू नीड टू मूव टू द लाइब्रेरीज. वहाँ जर्नल्स भी हैं, रेफरेंस बुक्स भी हैं, जैसे नीरज से बोल रहे हैं रैमिंगटन पढ़िए, कितने लोगों ने रैमिंगटन पढ़ी आप लोगों से, है ना? वेरी गुड. जिन्होंने पढ़ी है वेरी गुड, लेकिन जिन्होंने नहीं पढ़ी है मेजॉरिटी स्ट्रेंथ हुआ है, जिन्होंने नहीं पढ़ी. सो प्लीज ट्राई टू हैव क्लियर कट फोकस ऑन टू दैट. स्किल डेवलप करें, जो सर ने भी बताया कि आप स्किल्स रहेंगे तो ही आप आगे जाकर मार्केट में एस्टैब्लिश कर पाएंगे अपने आप को. एंड थर्ड ऑफ कोर्स इज द एटीट्यूड. जिस एटीट्यूड के साथ में आप अपने प्रोफेशन को लेकर भी चलेंगे, अपने आप को कैरी करेंगे, दैट विल डिफाइन द डेस्टिनी ऑफ व्हिच यू आर गोइंग टू लैंड ऑन इन द फ्यूचर. So thank you very much, sir, once again from my side and on behalf of the State University as such for coming here, delivering your talk, and let us know that this is also a field into which we can work actually, because this is a very rare field into very rare people are actually working. So I think this would of course provide us a kind of platform where we can ask our researchers, our PhD scholars, our PG scholars to work upon, and we can come up with a good research. So thank you very much for all those things. Thank you, Swati, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Dr. Neeraj Shukmani sir and Dr. Jain sir to present memento to our honorable expert, Dr. Rohit Jain sir, in a form of expression of our love and gratitude.
gonna